When I was growing up, my dad would often tell me stories about how he grew up in a small town in India, Siliguri, and how he worked his way from there to an engineering school and eventually built a life for himself in the US. And throughout these little stories, he would often sprinkle these little messages for me. And the phrase I ended up hearing the most often was, "Savya, just be confident." But I was a kid, and I didn't have a firm grasp of what confidence was. But what I did know was that my dad was confident. So I just ended up doing a lot of what my dad would do whenever I needed to be confident. And this would often come up in situations where I needed other people to think I was confident. And by doing this, I ended up falling into what I call the fake it till you make it trap. So we all know what fake it till you make it means. And this is a strategy that I would end up employing in situations where I really needed people to think I was confident. School presentation I wasn't prepared for, and just act like I know what I was talking about. A party where I knew no one. I'm just kidding, I don't go to parties. But I quickly learned the hard way that this strategy was not very sustainable. You see, in the short term, it can be useful for when you need to feign a skill or being good at something. Emphasis on short term. In the long term, if you keep using this strategy, it can end up being a crutch instead of actually developing legitimate confidence. And this crutch can compound, resulting in feelings of imposter syndrome, feeling like you don't belong, which can lead to anxiety and, in certain extreme cases, depression. I knew this wasn't the way to go about things. And to answer what I needed to do to gain confidence, I needed to answer a question that I've been dancing around this whole time. What is confidence? So confidence, in the way we use it in conversation, is our belief in ourselves or our trust in our abilities and how good we are in something. And this definition isn't incorrect, but it never really actually helped me understand how to gain confidence in a certain context. I've taken the liberty to devise a framework for helping understand confidence in a more practical light. Here is a matrix that I came up with that sort of compares how good you are at something with how much you believe you're good at it. How you believe you're good at it. And my goal was to get to an area where I have a high level of skill, but an appropriately high level of confidence, state I called mastery. So the question was how to get there, right? Now I want you guys to think of a skill you have. It can be a sport, it can be a musical instrument, it just has to be tangible. And it doesn't matter how long you've been practicing it either. With that, I want you to ask yourself how confident you feel about that skill. If you can answer that honestly, you're already halfway there. Next step is a little trickier because it requires a bit more of an objective evaluation. You have to consider how good you actually are with that skill. This can come out from different ways. You can ask a family or friend member, or friend. You can ask a outside mentor. It's good to get a lot of opinions, so what you're receiving isn't too biased one way or the other. Let's say you start off in a healthy spot. A low-level skill, maybe it's something you just started with, but an appropriately low level of confidence. This I'm calling a state of ineptitude. To understand this better, let's follow a boy named Jack. Jack really wants to play basketball, so he practices every day. Practice makes perfect, right? Well, the interesting thing about practice is that it also is a fantastic way of breeding confidence. This isn't just me saying this is psychology. This is the confidence-competence loop. How it works is that as you get better at something, your confidence in being able to replicate that increases, which then gives you the motivation you need to further improve in that skill. And this goes over and over again until you end up reaching a high level of mastery with that skill, but also an appropriately high level of confidence. Practice is only part of this equation. You see, as even consistent practice is nothing without consistent feedback. Feedback is what drives your practice in the right direction. It's how you know where you need to improve. And this can come out in many ways. Maybe tests with a teacher or games if you're playing a sport. And this factor is important because without consistent feedback, it can be difficult to gain an accurate assessment of your own abilities. And this happens quite often. But let's say this happens with Jack. Let's say he practices on his own and gains an overinflated sense of his own skill. This is dangerous because if your confidence level is higher than your actual skill level, you can reach a state of arrogance. And a little bit of arrogance is fine as long as you keep an open mind. If you're open to criticism, then it can be easy to escape the spot. But if you keep a closed mind, if you aren't open to outside assessment, then this area becomes a lot more dangerous. Let's say this happens to Jack. Let's say he goes for the tryouts and he ends up not making the team, even though he was certain he'd be a shoo-in. In this situation, the level of pride that you had almost immediately turns to shame. And shame is a terrible emotion for the brain to feel. In fact, it's so strong that your brain tends to develop a defense mechanism for protecting yourself against feeling this level of embarrassment ever again. This is known as defensive pessimism. Defensive pessimism is a strategy where you set a low expectation for your performance regardless of how well you've done in the past. Even if Jack were to improve, even if he were to gain such a high skill level so that he can join the team, his brain would remember the moment where he initially thought he was good enough and put doubt in his mind, saying, maybe you aren't. You see, confidence is more than just your trust in your own abilities. It's your trust in yourself to tell you how accurately you can judge yourself on these abilities. And this feeling will eventually lower your confidence level below that of your actual skill, putting you in a state of insecurity. And this, I believe, to be the most dangerous place to be in. And to answer why, we can look in the past. Here's a quote from renowned author John Steinbeck. "I am assailed by my own ignorance and inability. Sometimes I seem to do a little good piece of work, but when it is done, it slides into mediocrity." John Steinbeck wrote this quote while working on his novel, The Grapes of Wrath, which helped him land the Pulitzer Prize in 1962. This is one of the greatest authors of all time, and he feels this badly about himself? And I thought, surely this must be an anomaly, right? But no. Maya Angelou, George Washington, even Leonardo da Vinci, some of the greatest minds of all time have reported these same feelings. And this is what makes this area so dangerous, because it's independent of your skill level, which makes it 10 times easier to stay in here almost indefinitely. This can ravage your mental health, and it is not something that I was willing to go through. So then I had to know, how do I get from the area of insecurity to mastery? I found the answer in courage. Or more specifically, the discipline to push yourself past your comfort zone. Think of it like going to the gym. When you're going to the gym, you don't go straight to the heaviest weights. You start small. You start from where you're actually at, and you increase the strength of the weight accordingly. This works similarly in building courage. You have to do little things, little actions that take you past your comfort zone, regardless if you feel ready for them or not. They can range from speaking up in a meeting for the first time to joining a new club or even signing up for a TED Talk. It's these little steps that compound into giant leaps until you're able to do things that you never thought you could. And as you increase this, you can take yourself from an area where you feel insecure about yourself to an area where you feel confident. This process isn't easy. It hurts. It feels uncomfortable while you're doing it. But it does build that resilience within you, that resilience to failure, and that resistance to that shameful feeling that you feel every time you fall. And it's important to build that resilience because it encourages you to improve. It encourages you to go past your limits. Because if you don't do more than what you already can, you will never be more than what you already are. Thank you.